Very good morning to all of you present here. When I was invited for this program, I was wondering what am I doing in an all-women's conclave, that too for Women's Day. In my life, Women's Day is not on 8th March, it's every day. But I'm not a feminist, but I sincerely believe in what women represent in this world, because without the women, I wouldn't have been around. And I've been telling Lakshmi before this, I said one of the first things I'm going to say to everyone present is that if the condition of women today is not as good as it should be, to some extent, women are party to the problem themselves, right? Culturally, historically, worldwide, you all have allowed a patriarchal system to embed itself, and voices of independence or protest have been very few and far between. Whatever recent concessions even people brag about are incidentally all given by male-dominated democracies, parliaments, governments, etc. So I think this is the first thought I'd like to leave with you before we hear Lakshmi, who has much to say, that look, you are part of the solution. Don't be part of the problem. Don't play victim. As long as you keep playing victim, somebody will sympathize with you and throw out peanuts at you, and you'll feel happy. And there was a very famous saying that if you pay peanuts, you will get monkeys. So don't allow any male guy to throw peanuts at you. In deference to women, which I sincerely believe in, you may have seen a little gesture on my part when I was being felicitated. Did you see me bowing deeply to get that shawl? Nobody noticed. Yeah, because that's the real status that we enjoy, which you will see some of you didn't notice. This is where you stand. So please exercise this power and authority you have. Don't have to make men bend. Don't have to make them bend. You don't have to make them your equal. Because your equality with them is what is harming you. The moment you say, I want to be equal to someone, you are conceding that you're inferior. That is why you need to be equal. Why? Who has defined this for you? So with these preliminary thoughts, because I'm speaking from many years of experience, nearly 45 years of personal experience, that when I'm in the presence of a lady, a particular lady at least, I rarely speak. And Lakshmi has a similar aura. So once she starts speaking, I may not get a chance. So one or two things which I wanted to say, I've already said. But with that as a starter, Lakshmi, firstly, I'm honored to be on the panel with you, and thank you for being the hand behind the invitation. But the first thing I want to ask you is this. If you were to trace back history, where and when do you think Indian women, forget about the world, when do you think Indian women started the process of allowing themselves to become second-rate citizens? Where do you think in history it started? Because if we go back to the roots, we may find the seeds of the solutions for today. Any thoughts of this? When do you think women started allowing men to dominate them?
Thank you, first of all. When he said, what am I going to tell a bunch of women as a man? And I said that I didn't even view you and me as the man-woman in terms of the gender. I saw you and me as educators, shaping young learners. And as a matter of fact, I also said that, well, you can say to any audience. So it doesn't matter whether women are in the audience or men are in the audience or other communities are in the audience. So that was the perspective with which I said that he should be the keynote. But he refused to be the keynote. He said that I can't stand and just give some cliches. So we decided to convert this into...
Sorry for interrupting. Part of the story. It was not about not giving a keynote. I give many of them all the time. The problem was to give a keynote after Lakshmi's keynote.
Okay, but thank you. Thank you, Sachin, for giving us this opportunity. But we didn't expect two couches. So it suddenly looked like not just literally like, except for the fire, it's a fireside chat.
It's symbolic. There is still a gender gap.
Okay, so going back to your question of, I actually don't want to go very far and behind because history is full of what has been documented by the victorious and not the vanquished. I'm just looking at the recent, last 4 decades or 5 decades of the political shaping. And I think that's where the seeds of our Prime Minister, Mrs. Indira Gandhi, while a lot of us looked at that as some kind of emancipation, some kind of, something to show to the world that here is this world which has had the paradox of killing the girl child, also has a woman prime minister. And I remember the narrative that how I interpreted it, that she became the prime minister not because of being a woman. She became the prime minister because of the political clout, and that she actually was kind of responding to an aspiration of a context. I'm not pro Congress, anti Congress, pro BJP, anti BJP. So please don't. I just looked at the symbolism, and sometimes that we interpret in a way that we think that this is about emancipation. But it was nothing to do with emancipation, it was a lot to do with the political clout and fitting into the shoes of another man. And she was often called that, she and Margaret Thatcher as the toughest Iron Lady. But for me, I think the fundamental problem then and now is this, that she's almost like a man. And that's where what you said makes sense, that why do I need to fit into a description of someone else? Why do I need to be compared to someone, which means that I'm already relegated to a position where I need to actually climb out of and creep out of? So that's my fundamental issue of, just the historical. And we are celebrating, whether right now with the Delhi chief minister or with a lot of, political participation of women, for example, or for that matter, uh, the economic forefront where a lot of women CEOs, not enough adequate numbers. Or just recently, I was in this Nobel Laureate Teacher Summit, and one of the fundamental projects that we were actually grappling with was that where are the women laureates and where are the women scientists? So while we can actually celebrate some of the progress, I think the numbers are not really speaking completely about the grand success story that we would like to believe.
That brings about an interesting point. There's a national survey which shows that there are more female teachers than male teachers, more female principals than male principals in the school sector. And last week I was at a Vice Chancellor's conference in Chandigarh and Patiala, and barring the head of IGNOU, who had to be called onto the stage, almost everybody there was a male. Okay, you see the difference when you shift from K-12 to K-13 and beyond. Suddenly the shift changes. All right, this is not a problem. This is a reality. So if you feel that there should be women, more principals, more vice chancellors, we can debate that. But I have a more fundamental question. Where is it that we want to have a larger population of women in control? At school level or at college level? What is your view on this? Where, if you had to have a choice, if they are both places, fantastic. But if not, if you had to choose that, okay, more women control the school education sector vis-a-vis the college education sector, or vice versa, what would be your view?
I think women need to be across all levels. And I think this famous saying that if you really want progress and peace, women have to be part of the table. And it's not an either or situation. And it's interesting that while we are really highly populated in the school education, and as you go progress to the professorial positions, or like you said, nowadays, I think, Ashwini, you mentioned that we don't even have principals of colleges more and more. We have more vice chancellors than principals. And suddenly the gender color changes. So I don't think it's about an either or situation. It has to be across. And I'm actually wondering why and where women vanish after this.
Yeah, okay. So I'll give you a supplementary question on this. It's like this: when you go into the college education space, the formative years of your child are already gone past you. If the hand of a woman has shaped that child in the early years, right, it matters even in college, but not so much. All right. Today in the college space or in, let's say, ISRO, that famous Chandrayaan, Mangalyaan, all these successful programs have mostly women scientists on top. The State Bank of India, Arundhati Bhattacharya was heading. I can keep rattling off Indira Nooyi and everybody else. But the fact that you can rattle off their names itself is a problem. How many of you know the name of one girl who recently became a Jaguar fighter pilot? How many of you? None of you. So I can show off. Okay. Her name is Tanushka Singh. Why I'm saying it's symbolic. Why we know these names is because there's so few. On the male side, you can rattle off 100 names. It's no use. So why is Tanushka Singh important or a name like her important for you all? These are the names you need to propagate to the school community, the children in your school, both the boys and the girls, to understand this is where women are already there. They are not heading in that direction. And therefore, there should be more Tanushka Singhs coming out. We've had, you all seen a serial called Udan. I knew that lady, she used to be the DGP of Uttarakhand. Okay. They have shown in many places, Kiran Bedi is an example. They have come in many places. But the issue is, all of them were conditioned when they grew up that look, you have an equal and rightful place in this society. You are not someone who will get your chance after the boys are looked after. Now, please go back into your own families and think about it. How many of you grew up in families where the boys got preferential treatment? Right? Half the time the males were not at home, they were out working. Who was giving this preferential treatment at home? A female hand or a male hand? So when I keep saying that the females in society are themselves partly to blame for the situation, at home itself, if you foster this, if you say pink is for girls and blue is for boys repeatedly, then you are conditioning that person. Forget the boy, you are conditioning that girl. That is the damage we are having in society. So which are those telltale signs, Lakshmi, that you feel, the markers which have contributed to this current situation in society where women have to struggle to where they should be and not in the routine, that they should get there, just like boys get there, they also get there. Why do they have to struggle? Why do they have to prove? So there are some of these markers. I gave one example of green, of blue and pink. What are some of the other markers that you feel highlight this situation? And with your permission, at some stage, if you allow, we could field some interaction with the audience.
Yeah.
But after you answer this, of course.
So interestingly, for those of you who know, now I head a school called Avsara Academy. Avsara is for young adolescent girls only. And they come from under-resourced, economically under-resourced communities. And it's a very audacious and a very ambitious plan that the adolescent girls are given high quality education and international education. So our girls do Cambridge program coming from a public school system, and we support them till undergrad program, both financially and guidance and career counseling, college admissions, and we track the alumni, and we want them to enter the workforce and then complete the cycle of comeback and contribute to their community. One of it is the school, but essentially go back to serve their community because the kind of situations from where they come from. Okay? One of the markers is that, unfortunately or fortunately, I even had to congratulate the families for giving this opportunity for a high quality education. Because I recognize that the parents actually have to fight a battle to get these girls out to Avsara Academy. Families say कि क्या ज़रूरत है, इतने दूर क्यों भेजना है, and why hostel? Simple nearby state board की school में कर दो ना, and what will you do? And shadi to karana hi hai, because one of the unfortunate agenda is till today is that marriage is really a goal that you need to have and you need to achieve. And I think that happens in our families too. Okay? So, coming back to your question of, so when I talk to the girls, they have fire in the belly. And interestingly, just before the meeting, this session, one of them asked me about how do you find the girls? Meaning, how do you find their uh, readiness for education? Because we struggle with RTE on the other hand. I said, I see these girls are no less. So I think the second belief is that do we genuinely believe that, irrespective of the background, that our girls are no less?
Yeah. So I think she's made a very interesting point. And this is something that all of us need to do to improve the situation. It is not a matter of resources alone, it's a matter of opportunities. And what these girls are getting is an opportunity. And when they get the opportunity, they're ready. In fact, about just a week from now, I'm going to a place called Sitapur in UP. There's a school called Vidya Gyan School. How many of you have heard of Vidya Gyan schools? There are two Vidya Gyan schools, one in Bulandshahr and one in Sitapur. They're run by Shiv Nadar, who run Shiv Nadar schools, which are more famous, which are commercial schools. But these two schools are entirely funded by him personally from his personal wealth. And now he's old and he's in a wheelchair. But he's been going there earlier. Poor girls from UP, and in UP, the social mindset, they are being selected and brought there. They don't have to pay even a penny. Everything is paid for them till they finish school. And if some of them have finished school, if they are doing well, they are even being sponsored to foreign universities entirely by Shiv Nadar. All right. Why are the girls doing so well? Right? It is because of that opportunity. Obviously, they are selected girls, no doubt. They're not any girl can walk in. So my point is this, that what Lakshmi was trying to allude to was this, that it's not only about resources, it's equally about providing opportunities. And in our own circles, let us see and identify, have you provided an opportunity to at least one person, one child, one female child? That's all. When you do it to one and you start tasting success, you'll do it to more. I mean, you'll wonder why I headed an all-boys school. Why am I being invited by Vidyagan to come and spend 2 days with them? Right? Because the management of Shiv Nadar believes that my mindset will help them to enhance whatever they think will happen. I don't know what good will come, but they, in their perspective, feel. So that means after doing everything, and Shiv Nadar is one of India's biggest billionaires, if he still needs someone to come and look at his school, it shows his willingness to go beyond. So this gets me to my next question.
I just want to add 3 pointers, when you talked about the whole alignment of pink for girls and blue. And right now we are moving to tokenistic shift, or we still would like certain career choices for the boys and certain career trajectories for the girls. But what I notice with my girls, and it's very interesting, okay, that the girls are coming from homes that have challenges, okay? Mother is a vegetable vendor, father is an electrician, or parent is a domestic servant. So the girls have to go back and do sometimes surrogate parenting duties. And we, coming from another class context, we try to tell the girls that you must focus on the studies and don't do any housework. Okay? So this is my second concern about the context building for our girl child education. And I'm not saying that you need to not do this, but we would never tell a boy that you go home and help your parent. It all happened during the COVID time. They arranged the table and they sometimes did the dishes, and father made food for once in a while, and COVID over, everything just went back. The point is that we need to also constantly examine the gender messages we are giving to our students. And the second one, a while ago, some of my Swedish students had come to classroom in another school, which was both boys and girls. others. And I remember the report that they had written. And they said that the teacher seems to be allowing boys to be very loud in the classroom. Very subconscious, but very, very true. A lot of time, especially when they move from young pre-adolescents to adolescents, suddenly the girls become even more silent. And the girls, in fact, during the games period, unless they are really into the games, they're sitting in a circle and chatting. And whenever there's an art period that's over or a cooking period that's over, the girls actually come to clean up the dishes while the boys go for, playing a football or a basketball quick game until the teacher winds up. I think I would recommend that we really explore these very subconscious slips that happen in the classrooms. And I think the message is not about making statements that we are equal. We are not talking about equal, we are talking about equity and equitable solutions and not about the same. And I think that's something that I see clearly the teachers giving a message to the girls in a full girls' school to stay still, be a girl, be a girl, be a girl, and which is about an extremely prejudiced and a very, very loaded message of be subservient, be subdued, be very soft.
Yeah, so I'll leave that my previous point, but I'll pick up from what she now said. What is happening is this narrative is about women is now getting largely driven from the prism of a male versus female prism. As long as you continue to look at it from the male-female prism, you will keep having these issues and challenges. If you look at it as teachers and principals, as a student-driven issue, it will not matter. Once again, sorry to give an example of my own, but we have a fully residential girls' school of our own also. And as secretary of our general council, I has to look after my other schools as well. They have a fabulous dance department, fabulous. All the classical dances, folk dance, everything. So I decided I said, boys also love to dance, yeah. Not so well, but they like to dance. So I said, let's start a performing arts department. And many of my management members are very old and very, old world kind. They were aghast with the idea, लड़के नाचेंगे? उनसे क्या भरतनाट्यम कराओगे? मैंने कहा भरतनाट्यम का किसने बोला आपको? नाचेंगे मैंने बोला. So I said, we will not call it a dance faculty. We will call it performing arts. I hired a lady who was teaching in Delhi, who happened to be the widow of one of my alum, and whose son needed to study. She couldn't afford it in boarding school. I gave her a lollipop, idhar aake karo. Come for 4 years till he finishes 12th. She's just gone back to Sri Ram school. Her coming just changed the thing. When I joined, I had in the senior school, I had only 2 lady teachers. By the time I left, there would be close to about 30, which means the percentage had gone up. I didn't hire them because they were ladies. I hired them purely on merit. And I'm talking about biases. Every time I used to send it to my vice principal, I was new, so I didn't want to take a chance. I would see the shortlist, all males. So I said, yeah, any other place I go to, I see there are more lady teachers. हमारे यहाँ पे कैसे नहीं आते हैं? And how come our girls' school gets fantastic teachers? कहते सर ये boys' school है ना, they won't fit in here. जो पहले पुराने 2 हैं वो तो चल रहे हैं. I said, okay, next time I will sit in on the shortlist. So we shortlisted some ladies, some gents, and we took interviews. Where we found the gent better, we took him. We found the ladies better, we took them. And those ladies are doing exceptionally well in my school. Most importantly, they have changed the mindset of my boys. That is the big, big difference that has come. That the boys' mindset has shifted because now they're dealing with a woman. They were used to dealing with a woman at home who treated them like ladla beta, was to be handled with kid gloves, given zero exposure to failure, zero exposure to threats and dangers. Here is a teacher who's taking them out for treks, taking them for visits, playing with them. So the mindset changed. And part of the cockiness, that false sense of manlyhood started diminishing. Manlyhood is still very welcome, but not as a defense mechanism. I act manly because actually I'm unsure of myself, which is what happens with many people in an all-male environment. So therefore, let me either, Lakshmi, you're welcome to answer this, or if you feel like you could involve the audience in it. please tell me, in your school, one thing that you can do is to start bringing about a shift in the way things happen at home for your children. Most of you are in day schools, or all of you, in fact. Yeah. So obviously, the child sees the home environment first, where there is a male and a female in most normal families, right? There may be some broken ones, but mostly male and female. What one thing can you do to change the situation in their house, where the girl child at home, and if there's a male child also at home, or a cousin or whatever, is seen differently by the father and mother at home? Any one thing that you feel, which may sound very innocuous, but can trigger off this thing? Anything you can say, or you can
Yeah,
ask.
but maybe let's take it from the audience.
Surely silence cannot be that trigger that line. Pardon?
Shared responsibility.
You will tell the husband, come on, share my responsibility. She said, only applicable in COVID. COVID के बाद वो फिर बेशरम है.
No, I think, like we said,
No, I'm saying, I would request you, you're a senior head of school, suggest to some of our teachers one odd practical thing that they can do, which can start making a shift at home. It won't happen overnight. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It may be a boring shift, but it'll make a shift. So one second, ma'am, I'll come to you. Yeah.
we've started a program at my mainstream school where we have a co-ed school. So the boys are told that at home they have to be master chefs for at least 3 days a week. So, I mean, it really helps them in the kitchen and a whole lot of things. We've also inculcated a lot of focus forum and conglom for them. It's an informal discussion early part of the morning where it's compulsory every day, where we discuss the mindset, the genders, the roles that they play. And then it's followed by a yearly plan.
Yes, ma'am. So you're doing something which is very useful, but you're doing it with your students.
Right.
My question was related to what can we do with the parents? You see what happens? Parents, I'll tell you, historically have messed up the situation, then thrown the kid in school and said, now you sort it out.
I think the parents...
Okay, I know myself. I was a pest at home and I was sent off to boarding school in the hope that it will go. Both failed, right? I'm looking for some tips. What can people do at home? There was a lady at the back who raised her hand.
Can I just elaborate a little bit so that we can, our conversation could be... Gender conversations have not been new, especially when I see schools heads who are sitting here, okay? And they see a very successful woman leader. They've had adequate role models. And that we have also have, whether it's a life skill program or in counseling or in sexuality education, schools seem to be more or less dishing out the right thing. Now, Ramu is not the only one whose course runs, and Kamala is not the only one who sells oranges. So we made this paradigm shift to some extent. Still, you go home or you go to the society, that narrative doesn't seem to be really percolating. Just the last week, couple of examples, what happened. The reason why I'm also trying to create a macro picture of our role is we're educators who touch all the domains of a student's life. Whether it's economic, political, cultural, gender roles, behaviors, and a lot of mental health, we do touch all the domains. Despite all the narratives, despite all the right curriculum, despite all the right presentations in our classrooms, our schools still have traces of extremely divided roles. For example, when we have lunch in the school, I've often seen it's a female maushi who will come and clear the tables. Rarely a male peon will come and do it. There is also an attitude towards. So our students are constantly watching the kind of gap between what we say and how we behave. The point that he's asking is, despite all our right approaches to curriculum and differentiated choices of how we want to roll out the roles, we still see struggles in homes and we still see struggles at workplace wherein we need to really bring so many laws to actually fix behaviors. His question is that how do we kind of translate everything that happens into our homes and do we see a conscious change?
Yeah, there was a lady at the back on the left corner. Please, could you stand up and give your name also so that others know who it is?
Good morning to all of you, respected dignitaries.
All right, ma'am. Sorry, I'll come back to you later. Yeah, yes, ma'am. Please go ahead.
Okay. Myself, Dr. Rohini Jagtap. As you said, you asked the questions about, and I want to give answer of that. Um, while talking about the gender equality, as Madam said, there is no requirement of equality. There is requirement of equity. So I will talk about there should be a gender equityness. So the change which we want in today, that change starts from our family itself. So first of all, our mindset, that is a family mindset, that is thought process should be changed. In family, we are talking about the parents' point of view, their thought process should be changed from the point of view the boy is superior than the girl. That should be changed. Both are equal for the parents. Nowadays, little bit there is change, but still, if we talk about from parents' point of view, if there is a admission in school, if there is a girl and if there is boy to the couple, they thought that we will take the admission for English medium to the boy and for the regional Marathi medium we can say to the girl, or CBSE to the boy and state board. So they thought that even in case of dress up also, even in case of household work also, those the household work, the household work is allotted to the girl. So जो हम लड़कियों को सिखाते हैं कि ये बचपन से ही माँ भी सिखाती है, पेरेंट्स भी सिखाते हैं कि ये जो घर का काम है ये गर्ल ने करना चाहिए और बॉय उसको देखता है और ही ऑल्सो फील
मैम मोस्ट हेजिटेंटली आई एम इंटरप्टिंग यू बट आप बताइए आपने कहा माँ कहती है फिर पेरेंट्स भी कहते हैं
यस माँ भी कहती है और
how many times does the father say this at home or is it the mother who's saying it more often
मदर
so the mother is herself
हाँ लेकिन
so
वो
mother
बच्चा जो है बॉय वो
नहीं
देख
एग्रीड
रहा
ना
है
तो मैं
कि
कह रहा
मेरी
हूँ
मदर
यही तो मैं आपसे पूछ रहा हूँ कि हम घर पे क्या कर सकते हैं to change things. So one of the things itself is this. Let me, okay, I'll fast forward one of the answers. That before you teach students, there are two categories of people you need to teach. One is the parents and one is your own teachers.
Yes.
Your teachers come with very severe biases.
Yes.
But I am going to now control this and allow one lady at the back on this corner to speak. Poor thing had her hand up for long. By now she must have looking like one of those Naga Babas.
Good morning and hello ma'am, Lakshmi ma'am. Very happy to see you here.
I'm happy to see you, but tell me your name, yeah.
My name is Rashmi Shukla and as you referred, Naga Baba Mahakumbh has got concluded very recently and I'm from Kashi. So I would say that what she was talking about or what you mentioned about parents' mentality, in my life, gender discrimination came very late. When the 2001 when I got married, I got to know ladies have to do this and gents have to do this. Until then, my father was packing my tiffins and my mother used to, certain other chores. So what we have done in our schools, for my school, I'm not talking about the entire group of SNBP, I'm from SNBP Yerwada. So what I or my team has decided, we have done a simple task. We have asked teachers that Maushis or whoever is the housekeeping staff will not clean the classrooms. It is the task of the teachers along with the students. So I'll tell you a very big shift in the children's paradigm. Now, as soon as the teacher reaches the class, it used to happen earlier, not now. Now, the children have got trained. So the first thing which we were supposed to do is pick up the broom by ourselves. Whether it is a music teacher who's a male teacher or a dance teacher who's a male teacher or a class 1 mother teacher or whoever, we started in this way and very soon boys came, girls came, irrespective of gender, students came and started doing the things. So now the classes are getting cleaned by the students, not girls or boys. So I'm sure it must be spreading somewhere in their families as well.
Thank you. That's a good suggestion. Since you mentioned you're from Kashi, I was there a month ago. You must have heard of a group of schools called Sunbeam.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Deepak Madhok.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was giving, I do give keynotes. So I was giving a keynote there. And one of the things which I was telling their heads and teachers, there are many schools, was that it is not about only empowering women.
Yes.
It's about empowering men to deal with empowered women.
Yes, true. So true.
In fact, I was just going to add
One of
to
the
that.
conflicts that is happening in many homes is this, that because the woman has got empowered, the men feel insecure,
Yes.
and that results in further irrational behavior in bringing up their own children. Now, many of you may not agree. I hear some grumbling, so I think you don't agree with me. But I genuinely believe this, that dealing, for men to deal with an empowered woman is a huge challenge. Okay, yeah, you were saying something.
Thank you,
Yeah,
sir.
just to add to that, I think there are two things. One is that we need to really revisit how we bring up our sons. Because, right, or the Great Indian Kitchen. And that's a reality in many homes. And just look at our teacher community. If you tell them you need to pack your bags and go for 2 days of staff retreat, how do we wind ourselves with household chores? Same thing, you tell a male staff that you need to go for 2 days. And then there is somebody packing the bag. And that's a reality in our
Male guy will say,
home.
let's make it 3, why 2?
That's a reality. And I think that's where also what, General is talking about, that are we changing our narratives, or are we only arguing for equality, but we conveniently then, duck out when opportunities come out. And just, recently when there was this interview for, the Shevning Gurukul, there were young people, young men who were really already CEOs, and then there were oldies like me who have taken 10 more years, 15 more years to reach some top positions. And I mentioned this to the interviewer that you can't have the same skill and this whole equity and equality. I said that yes, as women, we do take breaks in our career trajectories because, let's say an average one child means 4-5 years of some stepping back, not a setback. Which means if you have 2 children, you have taken a kind of a break of 4-8 years. So you can't actually look at a 40-year CEO male and expect the woman to be, but where are you? How come you're not in a top position? So a lot of time we want preferential treatment, but we also want some kind of a convenient understanding. And I think somewhere we need to also get some clarity on what are we really negotiating using gender as our tool. Yeah, sorry, there are more hands. Yes,
I
please.
just wanted
ma'am.
to say something, Namaskar. We speak about.
If you give your name, some of the others who don't know you may.
My name is Anshul Bafna. I teach the older generation, so I'm a professor for MBA students. There's one very important thing because I deal with a lot of younger children and the parents. We do understand that the children need to be shifted, but they come from a mindset of, like you were saying, they're biased. The social conditioning of an individual in terms of a man or a woman, and very rightly you've mentioned, because it's the women who are kind of pushing that conditioning forward. I truly think that it's educating the students, but it's also educating parents. Parents need to be taught and understood. So what I'm suggesting here, because you're asking for a suggestion, and that's what I tell people, is as an individual, when we look at them without the labeling of a man and a woman, can we go back to our homes and talk on a dining table or on a floor or whenever we're eating, see to that individual as and half of a man and half of a woman, because we have feminine energy in everybody, irrespective of a man and a woman. We do have strength, we do want to achieve, we do have the ambition, and we also have the nurturing, we also have the compassion, we also have the love. So every individual, irrespective of the fact that he's a man or a woman or a child, needs to be educated that they have both sides, and both sides equally need to be nurtured in that individual, irrespective. So the person, when he or she grows up, can take both the roles and play both the roles equally. And when every child, when grows up, when they play both the roles equally, then they are equal people together in the society. I think that is something that we need to integrate in today's world, and every household should at some point in time integrate this, that we are together doing this thing and both parties involved in a
So-
particular individual.
So who should be the agent for this?
I think teachers have to be the agents for this.
Now, it's a serious question, okay? So many of the things I say in a lighter vein, but even there, those are quite serious. But see, it's like this. Can you call parents, and the kind of parents some of you suggested who have other commitments, they can't come to your school and you say once a week class karenge 1 ghante ka.
Nahi, once
Nahi, it won't work.
No, it won't.
I'm not suggesting. So no,
Sure.
mic down. Sun lo. You have to listen also, no? That's the problem. Women also have to listen sometimes. At home, it doesn't work. Here to karni, yahan to bolne do. So, right? You can't call the parents and teach them. You can't tell the teachers to go to every parent's house and teach them. So your only genuine link, and that's what I was waiting for some answers to come. Something was mentioned about children. Why do we today, in most places, in educated societies, have a green Diwali and we don't have these bursting crackers with smoke and all? It was the children who took out this campaign. Okay, am I right or wrong? They're the ones who went back and said, no, let's not have these firecrackers, pollution, lung kharab hoga and all that. So can you use your children as ambassadors, both male and female, to go back home and talk about these things to your parents? Ki this is what is happening in the world. This is what we are learning in the school. The world that you came from didn't have these things. I'll tell you, just a few months ago, my mother-in-law passed away. She's very old, very educated lady, from a very educated family. All right. But if my wife asked me to, say, okay, go get something from the kitchen or something like that, her first reaction, why are you telling him to do it? He's got so much work to do. Don't trouble him. I mean, it was amazing at this age. She was 90. A very, and she had been a teacher her whole life, much loved. In fact, she taught here in Pune, much loved by her students, because after she died, I saw the messages that came. But deep down inside her, also it was this. There was this guy who was a son-in-law. She was staying with me for about 2 years in Ajmer. She would keep dropping hints to my wife. I want to transfer some money to your account. She said, why? Implied thing was, I'm staying in my son-in-law's house, right? So I need to pay up. Have you understood? These are small telltale signs that the bias continues. And this continues at this level. So my point is this, can you use your students to go back and change the narrative at home and keep reinforcing the message while you're in school, as you suggested?
Yeah, I just want to add one, again, our point of contact with students. Our empathy and sympathy is always mostly with single women, rarely with a single father. And we will, to some extent, even congratulate the single father for babysitting. Or saying, oh my God, are you managing this all alone? Are you packing the lunchbox for your child? Do you see the paradox that while we want to support the single woman, but we also have taken her role for granted? We would rarely tell a woman, oh, are you babysitting? It's taken for granted, it is part of your role. But when it comes to a man, we kind of say, oh, you are making the chapatis. As long as, of course, he's a chief chef in Taj or something, then, of course, it's really, valued and there is a commercial element to his role. I think what we are trying to point out is, if we can go to the fundamentals of questioning our own hypocrisies, our own variations of what we believe in, what we act and what we actually communicate, I think let's just go back to reflecting on and no harm in accepting this. That yes, in my home, sometimes, like all our homes, our mother in law felt a little uncomfortable if my husband actually came to pack the lunch. And when I would travel, all the things, I mean, if he would take the children to the wedding, every aunt will come up and say, "Arey, wo chali gayi kya chhod ke?" मैं कहीं छोड़ के नहीं गया, I've gone for work. और तू सब कर रहा है, बेबी सिटिंग है, and my God, you have so cutely made to, I mean, everything that the man did, all the women appreciated. Everything the woman did was part of your, as if your DNA. We are aiming today is to look at how do we change the narrative at our personal level as a woman, as a man, as a teacher, as an educator. So we'll go back to that. Here is, I think somebody.
Lucky, can I just reinforce her point, please? Just give me a minute. I want to reinforce a point, very important. Just see how many women land up making their husbands dependent. I have come across many families where the woman has died before the man. The guy doesn't even know where the keys are in the house. He doesn't know what is where. He can't do anything. So who made him dependent? Who made him dependent? Did he do it voluntarily? No. Somebody was doing everything for him. I mean, again, giving my own mother-in-law's example, for my late father-in-law, every day she would lay out these medicines, you know. Breakfast mein ye hai, 4 medicine, ye lunch ka, ye dinner ka. And then old man would pretty stylishly drink water and finish it off. Okay, so please understand, again and again I'm harping the initial point I made, that if women recognize that they may be part of the problem and aggravating the problem, then a lot of the things can be solved, right? And number two, if they target the children to target the home environment, it will help. Yeah, Lucky, please.
General, ma'am, a last question. Yeah?
Thanks.
I would just like to say, very, very fundamental when people get married. It is always said that it is 50-50, right? But it is not 50-50. It is 100% and 100%.
Not even in bills.
No, it is 100% and 100%. What happens, what should happen or rather, today I am coming with maybe 80%, then you come with 20%. So I will give you my 80%. Tomorrow maybe I have only 30% to give. So you need to give me 70%. And if children see this happening in the house, in every sphere, whether it's cooking, whether it is eating, whether it's getting ready, whether it is doing anything at all, if that equation remains and an entire 100% remains, I think things will change a lot faster than otherwise. So, yeah.
Okay, that was the last question, so I think it leaves me. Oh, okay, Lucky, come.
Very small. So, yeah, I'm Lucky Surana. So, I would just like to share it. You know, when you spoke about the blue and the pink, you know, it starts from the basic at home. I make sure that on this Valentine or every Valentine, I'll wear a pink t-shirt and I'll tell my wife to wear a blue. I have a girl child, and because, like you said, you know, right from the childhood, they've been conditioned that pink is only for girls and blue is only for boys. It starts from our own, own families. Living in the joint family, coming from a Marwadi community, it's like men will earn and women will stay at home, and that's how the upbringing have been so far. I'm making sure that my daughter, she is also doing household, helping my wife. At the same time, I made her do an entrepreneur program. She's just in grade 8 right now, but she's understanding the importance of money and household both, so that she's not conditioned in the way that only women are, have to do the household or only men have to earn. So I think it all starts from our own families. Thank you.
Yeah. If I can just make one concluding remark. There are two things that a lot of women, not well endowed like you all are, but others, especially in tier 2, 3, 4 cities, they're looking for two things. One, they're looking for independence, which I think is very obvious. They're looking for independence, financial, social, every other independence. But the other thing that they're also looking for, and don't misunderstand my use of my word, they're looking for intimacy. Right? Because in their home structure, they have no one to go to where they can throw their heart out. Which is why, I mean, some of you may have experience, I don't have personal experience, I've only heard this, that if you go to a beauty parlor, you can share secrets with a stranger who's got a head covered with some duckon or something. You can share all your secrets with that person. Right? Because you have a sense of intimacy. You have the freedom to say what you want. So therefore, we need to create this in our own little spheres that you work with. Don't worry about the world problem, national problem. Sort it out in your family, sort it out in your school, and I think we'll do very well. But I must end by thanking Lakshmi for two things. Once again, for inviting me, and number two, for not being very harsh on me today. Thank you.
I love my reputation. Thank you.